The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinski as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. I don't know, we're grabbing a few beers this early in the morning. If that's what you're into, go ahead and do it. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer sports talk and a whole lot more for this 9th day of April 2025. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT over there at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all their great articles and other podcasts, such as my guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports Tuesday night special last night. As always, those guys put on a great show every Tuesday. They never miss a show, and I'm catching up on a bunch some that I missed, but just trying to get back in the groove of things on Tuesday nights to catch it live. It's always a lot of laughs and the interactions they have with their loyal fan base. And thank you for all those who listen to the show each and every day. We thank you all a lot. There's days, anyways. Been away for a while from the podcast game. I took a couple-week hiatus, more so of a feeling a little bit not down, but just a little bit overwhelmed at times. A little bit life gets in the way and everything else. But there's sometimes you just need a little kick in the pants, a little bit of a self-motivation, I guess, and you got to just quit sulking. I guess we all get that way once in a while. Sometimes you just don't have it between the ears. That's the biggest muscle in the body. They say it's the heart, but it's that thing between the ears that gets you going. But I got to thank my guy over there, Jim Plotner at the Fan in the Van. He gets up every other day pretty much out there in Long Island, puts on his Leopard Bulls cap, and he goes to work, and he does one of these shows every couple of days. So that was motivation enough for me. I could have just sit around on my phone on Twitter looking at whatever that I can't fix or anything else, or that stuff doesn't really matter to me a whole bunch, and you just get a bunch of negativity in your life. We're reading the Twitter machine and the news and all the crap that goes on around the world. I think, you know what, if Jim can go out there every couple of days and get one of these things out before work, so can Brent Radlinski down here at the 1420 podcast and the Yankee Tavern North. So Jim, I want to thank you a lot for the motivation this morning, because Deanne kind of gave me grief last night a little bit for me not doing a little bit of research and getting these shows out, because she knows how much I like it. So thank you also to Deanne for looking down her nose at me a little bit, so I wasn't doing so. Deanne and Jim, thank you very much for getting me back on the podcast this morning. But anyways, enough about me. Let's get into it a little bit. The big news over the weekend, obviously, was the Alex Ovechkin getting an 895th goal. It was a remarkable feat. Something that I didn't think I'd ever see, considering I grew up in the Gretzky era, that he just scoring at will back in the early 80s when those Oiler teams were just flying, doing whatever they wanted to do. And you seen Ovechkin beat Gretzky's record on Sunday afternoon. I kind of hoped he was going to get it at home in front of the Washington Capitol fans on Friday night. He only got the 2 goals against Chicago, and I had him getting it on that Saturday night. There was a bit of a poll, a contest, whatever it was, that I entered, and I had him getting on on Friday, but he ended up getting on Sunday afternoon from that exact same spot on the left-hand side, top of the circles, slap shot, the whole thing, and it's always the way it goes. And the thing that I really liked about the Ovechkin goal, and the celebration he had afterwards, where he dove across the ice, he turned around and swam like he was a little kid. We see all across Canada who scores those goals, and they're so excited that they get their first one. That was Ovechkin's 895th. Yes, it was a record breaker, but over the years in hockey, all the years that I've been watching, there's nobody who's like scoring goals more than Alex Ovechkin. And he proved that again on Sunday afternoon when he scored. And he was just remarkable, the exuberation on his face and the way he just celebrated. I don't know if it was planned, but he hoped to do what was going to happen. But we've seen the excitement come across his face, and he scored the goal. And then the next great thing that happened with that was when Ovechkin, his teammates jumped on the ice, and they were just as happy for him. And it was like they won the Stanley Cup right at that moment. So it was their little Stanley Cup celebration. And the Capitals got a shot at winning something this year. They got the best record in hockey right now, I believe, at 107 points. So maybe the celebrations aren't over yet. We might see an Ovechkin celebration like we saw when they won the Stanley Cup. And was it 2018? I think it was. And he was on a month-long bender there, and everything. It was kind of funny to watch that. But no, it was great to see Ovechkin get that record, something you never thought would get broken. And you take the politics out of it. Gretzky out on the ice. It was a classy move by him, because his dad told him, when someone breaks your record, you should be there, like the way Gordie Howe was back when Gretzky broke his record. So it was good to see Gretzky there to just be the classy guy that we're kind of used to. He had a little bit of a glitch in the armor there, and we're not going to get into that. And the same with Ovechkin. You can talk about his politics all you want with the Putin end of things, but that's not what we're doing here at 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Four Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more on this gorgeous Wednesday morning. But it was good to see. It was really I was happy to see him do it. I was happy to see him get out there and get that goal, and just really get into the moment. You look at a couple of years back when LeBron scored his 30 billionth points, whatever it is, because my affliction for basketball, how great it is. And it was funny to watch how Ovechkin's teammates and his teammates from the years gone by were there to celebrate with him when he scored the goal. And he was hugging his teammates, and he was very grateful for his teammates to be there. And whoever's been feeding him those backstrom for all those years was feeding him on that left side, scoring all those goals. And the happiness that his teammates showed for him, and then the admiration he had back at his teammates, it was a lot different than when LeBron scored his, like I said, his 30,000th or 35,000th, whatever it was, point. When he passed Kareem's record, how LeBron, it was all me, and he paraded around the court by himself, and it was all the admiration went to him. Yeah, Ovechkin got that a little bit later on in the celebration, where his teammates kind of joined him, but they didn't really seem to care a whole bunch. That, like, he didn't care who his teammates were there. LeBron's changed teams how many times over the years, and Ovechkin stuck with the Washington Capitals. You didn't know if he's ever going to win a cup. He was a one-trick pony with the Capitals all those years, and they finally got that one. And you seen the difference in how teammates reacted to LeBron compared to how they acted to Alex Ovechkin. So it was kind of a social experiment, I guess, to see how that all went down. And over the years, how LeBron, I wouldn't say ditched his teammates, but ditched his teammates and ditched a lot of cities, and doesn't have that same admiration throughout the league that an Ovechkin has, or say Sidney Crosby has. And we'll get to Crosby in half a second too. I'm really disappointed the way the Penguins didn't do anything with that guy's year, and he's got a couple more years left in the National Hockey League. One of the best years of his career, and he's still sitting there in Pittsburgh doing nothing. They're out of the playoffs, obviously one of the worst teams in hockey, but we'll back to that after we'll get done talking about Ovechkin. It was just great to see how his fans embraced him. And then I got a kick out of him afterwards when they were in the dressing room, and family member after family member after family member the Russians showed up there in the dressing room. Like, holy cow, this is quite the thing. And he was in there crushing Coors Lights right afterwards, and a big cooler sitting there waiting for him. So it was kind of like beer hockey, Fred, that a 39-year-old man should be playing. It was really good to see a guy who loves scoring goals, loves the game of hockey. He just loves being out there. His teammates love him. Say what you want about the guy. Over the years, he's been a great ambassador to hockey. Like I said earlier on, we'll keep the political stuff out of this. It was just really, really good to see a guy score that goal. And everybody, and it was really funny. We were at Brown's on Social House just down the street here, having a couple of after-work drinks on Friday night, watching that game that he against Chicago, and he got the first goal, and he got the second goal. Like, oh, he might get this. And everybody around the bar that was talking about it basically said, how has nobody ever been in that position, and how has nobody ever stopped? How come nobody's ever just went to that left point in the slot and just stood there beside him? Because he's been open there. He's probably 895 of his goals, probably 800 have been from that exact same spot. So it was kind of funny how hockey fans, young and old, who were sitting around the bar having a pint or a glass of wine, or what it might have been, we're kind of laughing about that. Well, because hockey's hard, and it's hard to score, and if a guy can do it that many times, he has a bit of a knack for it. And you wonder how many times over the years, this could probably be a stat that I'm not going to look up, but maybe some of our listeners can look it up and do a bit of a deep dive for me. But how many shots he's taken over the years, how many times he missed the net? Because you always find, like, if you hit the net, you have a better chance of scoring. I'm not saying hit the goalie scoring the pad or scoring the chest, but if you hit the net, you have a better chance of scoring. If you miss the net, you're never going to score. And Ovechkin probably hits net more than anybody else. How many more shots, like what's his shooting percentage over the years. It'd be interesting to kind of note and kind of see. I have a blanket off. You're watching here on YouTube. I'm kind of cold this morning. I got one wrapped around my legs a little bit. Had the didn't have the heat on. It's kind of been warm during the day, so I've been would say a crisp 65 degrees down here in the Yankee Tavern before it opens. It's just really been fun to watch Ovechkin on this chase. As you guys know, he was my dad's favorite player in a lot of parts of his life. So I know Dad was probably cheering from upstairs, and by upstairs I mean like way upstairs. So it was good to see him. Mom got a little bit emotional on Friday night when he got close. So it was good to see Ovechkin get that record. It was good for I'm sure my dad was smiling his toothy grin upstairs there. So it was great. You wonder he's got one more year left on his deal. You wonder if he comes back next year, gets over 900, gets like he's scored 40 goals this year. Like, you got to think the guy's got 40 this year. He's a valuable asset. Is he playing hockey the way the game's supposed to be played? Nobody had 40 goals. Like, he's not playing. He's a bit of a riverboat gambler out there. And yeah, they were trying to get him that record for sure. And there's no way they weren't have a bit of a game plan around him to try to get it. So it's just you got to think that he'll come back. They win a cup. Is he going to say that's it? He's done? Is he going to say, you know what, I got 895. I've got 4 games left. Could he get to 900 and call it good after his career? He's made how many millions of dollars over the years? He's maybe had enough. I don't know. But he still seems like he enjoys scoring goals and has a good time. If they win a cup, does he say that's it, see you later, or does he come back one more year, do a tour around the league, and tip his hat to all the people who cheered him on over the years? It'll be interesting to see what happens after this season with the Capitals if they do win one. If they don't win one, I think he'll come back. But if they do, you know what? You go on a high note. You got the record. You have a Stanley Cup, and you say that, you know what? That's it. I've had enough. And he'll get a few more home games in the playoffs anyway. So could that just be the end of Alex Ovechkin, and or does he get to 900 and do the tour? Like I said, it'd be interesting to see how that all pans out. But it was, like I said, it was fun to watch that, and it was a record that I never thought would be broken. It was a record that I never thought would ever be touched. Even when he got to 800 and some a couple of years back, we were talking about it on this very show. Like, geez, it just seems like a lot, and the guy's wearing down. Like, you remember the guy broke his leg this year, like, and he's 38 years old, 39 years old, and he broke his leg, and he's back. It was 6 weeks later, and he's back up raring and ready to go. And so you just go, what the heck's going on here? So it was really interesting to see him get that out there. And anyways, that's it. The Stanley Cup playoffs begin next week. Congratulations once again to Alex Ovechkin on 895, and see how many he gets in. It was fun to watch him right afterwards, going to his favorite restaurant there in wherever it was when he tied it up, drinking beers and everything else. He just seems to like his pints, which is it's not a bad thing either. At 5:52 in the morning, so not doing that today. I got a cup of coffee. I might have a quick swig here, but brought up Crosby's name a little earlier on. The guy had a great season. The Pittsburgh Penguins are second or third worst in the Eastern Conference. Just an abysmal hockey team, going nowhere fast. Well, they'll be bad again next year and bad again the year after that. I still think the Penguins should have found a way to convince Crosby to say, you know what, I got to get out of here. I got to do something. I know he's been an ambassador to the city of Pittsburgh, who does need a little bit of help. But with some of the other franchise, we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates in 5 minutes. But it was something to see Crosby just still go out there night after night, score goals, and he still smiles like Ovechkin does when he gets some points. And he just loves the game of hockey so much. But I think the Pittsburgh Penguins have done Sidney Crosby disservice over the last few years. Just the way he's still goes out there night in, night out. Maybe it's just time to push him out the door a little bit. You know, you can't do that to an all-time great, and you can't do that to a obviously first ballot Hall of Famer. You can't do that to a guy. You might not even have to have the waiting period to go in the Hall of Fame, but you just think that maybe whoever's in charge, whoever's calling the shots out there in Pittsburgh, or maybe Mary Lemieux's got to say, listen, man, I stayed here my entire time. I get it, but you're not going to win here. You're not going to do your legacy. Like, is his legacy going to be the Four Nations face-off, which was a couple months ago? We're still clamoring about a little bit, but is it going to be, he won the Stanley Cups in the past years? He got 3, I think it was. Is it the Olympic gold medals? Is it the golden goal? Like, all those accolades that he has. But the guy like Crosby, I think that he would want one more kick at a Stanley Cup. And going to somewhere like Colorado, everybody says Colorado because of his ties with Nathan MacKinnon and Cole Harbour, but you just think that maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby and got to have a sit down and say, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? I'm still a great hockey player. He's going to probably be the captain, I would think. I would think of the Olympic team again as he was this year for the Four Nations face-off. Next year when the Olympics happen again, NHLers go back, I think he'll be a big part of that team. I just think that the Penguins really have to find a way to convince Crosby to say, you know what, let's move on. We'll find some prospects and everything else for you, because this isn't working. This isn't going to work. Or like you got to admire the guy's resilience to stick around there, but you just go like, what are we doing here? Because this isn't worth our time or your time. But that's my thoughts on Crosby. We'll turn the page on Crosby and we'll get back on him in September when they start getting ready for our camp next year, or maybe in the summer when free agency happens and trades happen. Stanley Cup playoffs start next week, so I'll start doing these a lot more during the playoffs, and hopefully there's a deep playoff run for a Canadian-based team. I don't like saying Canadian teams because there's a bunch of Canadians to every team, but a Canadian-based teams, and everybody knows the story. Been 32 years, 33 years, whatever it's been. 1994, I think it was, right when the 93, when the Canadians beat the Kings in the final. Patrick Waugh was the MVP. You just you wonder if this is Winnipeg's year. You wonder if this is Toronto. Toronto's just as good as anybody. They pulled up a stinker last night. Calgary's not going to make it. They're 4 points out. Sorry, Mom. The Calgary, you won't be able to watch her and her non-existent cable. That's a whole other situation out there in Fort McLeod that I got to take care of somehow, some way. But you wonder what they're going to do in Calgary. Another year not making the playoffs. They got to think that they got to start doing something to get something moving there in the right direction, because they got that new building coming, and nobody pays to watch the home team lose that much. Look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. But you just you wonder if this is another wasted year of McDavid. They're going nowhere with that goaltending. I've said it before and said it again. I think Skinner's okay. I think he's really big. It wasn't his fault they lost last year, but there wasn't not because of him. Is it a wasted year with two of the best players in the National Hockey League, with Draisaitl and with McDavid? I think it's going to be. They're probably not going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I think the biggest hope that Canada has right now, and it's nice to see actually Montreal and Ottawa are going to be in there for sure this year. So it's nice to see out there in the East. But I think Toronto's got an actual shot to kind of maybe go. I just wonder how their goaltending. Wall's really good, but Matthews hasn't been going, and they've been quite successful so far this year. So Matthews can get going, which he hasn't so far in his illustrious playoff career. No Toronto Maple Leaf really has over the years. But is this the Leafs here to maybe get to a final? And you never know. But Florida's going to ramp things up with Marchand. That Marchand acquisition is a little bit underrated in my opinion, but we'll see how that turns out. And Tampa's always Tampa. So it's just wonder. And then Washington, like I said, with Ovechkin chasing a Stanley Cup after getting the record, they're going to be tough. But out west, I think Winnipeg's a clear cut favorite. They're really good. But you also have the Las Vegas Golden, whatever the heck they're called, Las Vegas Golden Knights, and I was going to say Golden Thunder for some reason. I don't know why, but it should be really interesting. I think it's wide open for a Stanley Cup. There's no clear-cut favorite. Colorado's really, really good. So is Colorado going to, or is the West going to eat each other up like always? And then you look, Dallas has got a good team. So last night, I don't know if anybody saw this. I was actually in bed, but I saw it this morning on the highlight package. I was getting ready for this show that you had the Vancouver Canucks down 3 with under a minute left when they scored to make it 5-3. Ended up tying it up with 15 seconds left or whatever it was, and winning in overtime. It's going to be the highlight of the Canucks' abysmal season. But down 3 with a minute to go, geez, another loss coming up here, and they kept their slim. The fat lady, the fat lady ain't singing, but she's humming a tune right now for the Vancouver Canucks. But they kept their slim playoff hopes alive last night with a come from behind, 3 goals down with a minute left. It's you don't see that very often in the game of hockey, but it was good to see that happen with the Vancouver Canucks last night. So anyways, there's my thoughts. Let's we can talk some baseball here and have a second little word from our sponsor over there at Right